Hi, I'm Chris. Welcome to Digital Power Trip. Today, we're going to be talking about virtual pinball. All right, so in order to talk about virtual pinball, the first thing we really need to do is look back at pinball's beginnings. Like, where did it come from? So pinball is like an evolution of a lot of different things. I mean, some people say that bocce really was a precursor to pinball, but pinball as we know it kind of came about in the 1950s. Gottlieb was the first to put flippers into a machine that you can control to keep the ball alive on the playfield. So the weird thing about that is in the 1940s, pinball was almost banned altogether with. Mayor LaGuardia from New York City had determined that pinball was a gambling device and that kids shouldn't be wasting their nickels on it and adults shouldn't be gambling with it. So he decided to do a mass roundup of all machines in New York City and smash them into bits and chuck them in the river. So for a long time, other cities had kind of followed the same route as New York and put a prohibition on pinball. It wasn't until, I think it was 1976, the AMOA, Amusement and Music Operators Association, had taken this case to court because they wanted to be able to produce pinball machines and have them in big metropolitan areas that were currently banning them. They had a guy whose name was Roger Sharp. He was a professional pinball player as their star witness, and what they did was they set up a pinball machine in the courtroom and tried to prove that it's not a game of chance, it's actually a game of skill. And Roger proceeded to do a demonstration where he would call what target he was going to hit and then proceed to use the flippers and bam, hit it. So after a little while doing this, the judge decided that, hey, it really is a game of skill, it's not necessarily a game of chance, and he lifted the ban and kind of really saved pinball and brought it into the modern era, as we know it today. Speaking of pinball in the modern era, I was trying to think back to the first virtual pinball that I ever played, and I believe that it was Space Cadet on Windows XP. And I think I have that actually. I found it online one day when I was in the middle of all this pinball stuff just to see if it was still out there and around and still playable. So we'll take a look at that in a second when we talk about what really got me into virtual pinball. And it all begins kind of back there. You can see it running right now in the background. Let's go jump back there and see what it's all about. So let's take a couple of minutes and talk about the game that I think introduced most people to the virtual pinball concept, and that's Space Cadet. I had said earlier that I played it in Windows XP, which was probably true. I think it was bundled with Windows XP, but I also found out just here a minute ago that it came on a companion CD to Windows 95, and I think that was called Microsoft Plus 95. So I think that was a paid add-on CD for Windows 95 that had some games and some utilities and things like that. But that's what introduced a lot of people to this game, and then they kept including it through Windows 98 and Windows XP. So let's take a look at it. We're going to hit F3 to resume the game because it was paused. And let's launch with the space bar, and both the Z and question mark key are the flippers, and it appears that it has a tilt, or not a tilt, it appears that it has a nudge with the period. Let's see if we can tilt it. Nope. Almost. So it's kind of neat that it has its own scoreboard over to the right hand side, whereas now you've got a back glass. But I played this thing for hours and hours and hours. You wouldn't be able to tell it now, but it was like one of the very few games that had any kind of, I don't know, graphical prowess to it whatsoever. It was the first kind of 3D game that I remember seeing. Well, that's not true. It had Wolfenstein 3D. I remember that thing. That was on Apple. But this game right here really introduced me to the concept of virtual pinball. And okay, so woo, high score, and I lost every ball in like 3.5 seconds. So, but anyway, it keeps a high score. It keeps a high score on the screen. So, pretty neat. It's a far cry from what we're up to today that we're getting ready to see when we move over to the cabinet. So next, we're going to move into the recent game that got me into the whole virtual pinball thing, got me to build my own cabinet. So, well, let's just take a look. So my latest obsession with virtual pinball got started with this Zen Studios Pinball FX3. I found it one day when I was messing around in Steam looking for free games to play. I saw that they had one that they gave away for free, and I was like, yeah, pinball, I'll give it a shot, why not? So I'll show you the first game that I played in here. It's called Sorcerers Lair, and like I said, this one was free. So I've got a game going already. We'll just continue with that. As you'll notice, the graphics are really good. I've got this running at about 4K. But when I first started playing this, I was like, man, I cannot believe how good this looks. And this table's got a lot going on with it. A lot of ramps, a lot of targets, a lot of combos that you need to work together to get certain things going.
Continue to disturb me, interlopers.
Plays really well. I'll show you guys. I'm just using like a regular Xbox wired controller, wired up to the PC through Steam. Sounds really good on this too. Has a good stereo soundtrack. And I keep missing that ramp really badly.
Whisper.
But we'll play this just for another second or two, just so you can kind of see how the gameplay goes. There we go. Finally got it in the ramp. Now I'd like to get it up the combo ramp. Right, well, I missed it a little late there. There, I got it twice. But anyway, you guys get the point with this table. It got me hooked, and it got me to thinking that what would happen if I somehow took a controller and got a monitor and built a little cabinet and wired up the controller buttons so that I could play it like a cabinet, just like a real pinball machine. So I started digging around. I got on the Pinball FX website, went through their forums, and I found out they had something called cabinet mode. So I dug a little bit deeper and found out that you could basically just reach out to them and ask for the cabinet code, and it would flip everything vertically, and you could utilize arcade buttons and make your own cabinet. So that's kind of how it all got started. I'll take a minute here just to kind of show you guys a screenshot or two of the build in its early days as it was going along. So what I ended up with was an old LCD TV and an old 19-inch LCD monitor. And I had a Core i7 PC with a 1030 Ti graphics card, and it ran this just fine at 1080p, no problem. So, but as I started building, I wanted more, and I think eventually I ended up with a 1050 Ti in the pinball machine that I have now. But I'm going to let this escape out of here, I want to show y'all a couple more tables the FX3 has to offer. So they have got a lot of licensed stuff. They've got they just acquired the license for Williams tables. So Fishtails is a free table. This is a real pinball machine that's out in the real world, and I'm going to continue the game I got going on here too. And you'll notice like the layout of this is a little bit different. It doesn't stretch as wide. It shows it as the full table. But this plays a lot more like a traditional pinball table than their other table did. But it still looks amazing. Got a lot going on with it. There's a lot of animations and stuff going on the screen that that you're probably not going to find on the real table. So they're still keeping their little arcade type thing going on. But this table's super fun. Alright, so I'm going to exit out of this one, and I'm going to go back and show you just one more. If you want to check these guys out, you can go on Steam and find them there, or you can just go to the Zen website. I'll link it down in the description. Let's look. They have the Fox licensing, so they've got like Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, Archer, and American Dad. Family Guy is actually a hilarious table. Let's give that a go. I actually have this one on my full-size cabinet. It's really fun to play.
Oh, this is fun, huh?
Yeah, it is. All right, and also too, you can use your analog stick
We're so close.
to launch the ball. There's a ton of stuff going on this table. It's crazy. This one also has, as well as the other ones, has mini games built into it. So if you get through a certain sequence of events, you can actually play a mini game where Stewie is a fighter pilot and you're shooting Bertrams out of the sky. It's really funny.
Wow.
But again, this is running at 4K, and it really looks good. The reflections in the ball, I don't know if you'll be able to tell from the video, but they've done a great job with this thing. So we got a multi-ball situation going on here now. Alright, enough of that. You guys get the point. You'll also notice they have licensing for Star Wars from some Bethesda games, Universal, Jurassic World, all kinds of neat stuff going on there. But from this, it led me to finding out about Visual Pinball, because I was digging around trying to get this thing up and going, and I found an application called VPX, Visual Pinball 10. So that led me into a really good forum that I found on Facebook called Visual Pinball Junkies, and the guys there are just amazing. They'll do anything they can to help you out. They've helped me on numerous occasions, taught me how to read, because one of their big deals is, have you read the manual? They have a complete facts, a guide that will show you how to do this from start to finish, even recommend hardware for you. Highly recommend you check those guys out, and I will link them also in the description. But let's move on and have a look at the actual cabinet as I have it completed now. So welcome to my personal pinball machine that I built. I built this thing literally with 3/8 inch plywood and 3 monitors, a bunch of arcade buttons, a computer that now has a 1050 Ti video card in it, and a lot of long nights and help from the wonderful pinball community that's online. And let's just take a walk through. So first off, you'll notice that what we're looking at now, this is my front end. This gives me a way to basically move through my pinball tables. Some of these are going to be kind of loud as we go through, so hopefully it won't be too distracting. So I've got two different types of emulators on here. I've got Pinball FX3, like we looked at back there on the PC, and I've got Visual Pinball X. Visual Pinball X is probably my favorite, and you'll see why in just a minute. So to select, you can't really see it, but I'm pushing the launch button. All right, so once we get in, we can go through all the tables that I have currently installed on my front end. As you can see here, I've got Avatar. I've got Back to the Future. Cartoons. This is an awesome table. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Ghostbusters. Harley Quinn. Masters of the Universe. Monster Bash. Simpsons. And this is the one I'm going to start off showing you a little play on. This one's by a guy who is an absolutely talented, amazing digital artist. He put this whole table together from scratch. His name's Scott Whitberg, and Scotty Wick, as people like to call him. But it's incredible. So I'm going to hit the launch button.
Wait, I am now loading up the game. Have fun.
And this table requires a thing called Pinup Player. And Pinup Player is by another couple of guys that I met inside of the Visual Pinball Junkies forum. And what it does is it allows you to use video and call video overlays. And my whole front end runs off of Pinup. And I'll also link to the Pinup Facebook page. But pretty much if you're on Junkies page, you're going to know about Pinup. But let's start a game in this one. Now, one of the cool things about Pinup Player is you'll see as we get started, as you have certain call-outs in the game that allow certain videos to play and do things. But I'll just go ahead and play and let you guys see how it works. And I'll suck at it because I'm playing. That's funny. Anytime you go try to play on camera, you're never going to do as good as you do when you're sitting here playing by yourself with nobody watching. But one of the cool things about this table, Stranger Things, is all the different references it has back to the show. So if you are a big Stranger Things fan, you're going to find this table absolutely incredible. And the music that he's chosen for this table. So what I've done here is I've unlocked part of what's needed to be unlocked to get into the upside down, and the upside down is here in under, it's like a bottom layer under the table. And hopefully maybe I can get into it before the end of it and fight the Demogorgon. So I'll have to hit that target up there several more times, and I probably won't do it because I'm sucking right now. I did. I messed up in a really big way. But this music, gosh, it's awesome. But anyway, if you get it up into the upside down, if you open it up and are successful, your pinball will come under the table right here, and then the flippers work in reverse. And then you have to light up all of these targets, escape twice to escape the upside down. And it's really tough to do, but it's absolutely rewarding once you get it done. So I've just unlocked the AV Club. And all I'm trying to do is get up to the upside down. I think one more time and it'll open up. I'll multi-ball it. Apparently it was more than that. It does have a pin in the middle, so if you're not too crazy with your flippers and it's going to be like straight down the center and you let it go, you'll keep from losing your ball. These video callouts are awesome because it kind of goes along with the story in Stranger Things. Okay, so I have the have the upside down unlocked. If I could just get the ball. Oh shoot, no, there's more targets beyond that. Well, that's going to be it for me. But this is like a super awesome table, and I absolutely love it. Play it all the time. Now all I have to do to get back out is I'll just hit the exit button, and it takes me back out to my menus. And then I've got Tron. And then one I really want to show you guys just came out today called Masters of the Universe. If you're old like me, you'll remember this cartoon from when we were young.
Please wait. I am now loading up the game. Have fun.
I used to spend a lot of Saturday mornings watching this cartoon. Okay, so now we're in. I'm going to put a coin in, and I'm going to start the game. This table is real similar to the other one in that different things that are going on in the table will actually change the video. This one does give you 5 balls though, so that's handy. But it's unreal how great these tables play. And one of the awesome things about Virtual Pinball is the ability to have multiple tables on one cabinet. So I'm going to go ahead and let this ball sink, and I'm going to exit, and I'm going to go back to this screen. Yeah. Okay, so I'll stop here for a second. One of the really cool things about having a cabinet made that you can play multiple tables on, or you can relive a lot of the stuff that you used to play back in the day. Plus you have the ability to play all kinds of user created tables like the Stranger Things and the Masters of the Universe, stuff that's not out there in the physical form. So there's a couple of really cool things that you can do that I haven't done yet to my table. One of them is called DOF, and that stands for Direct Output Framework, and that allows you to have a controller connected between the guts of your pinball machine and the computer program that's running it, so you can do some cool things like you could put directly addressable LED lights on, so that when you hit certain targets a certain light will light up in a physical form instead of just on the screen. And then there's some other things you can do with DOF, like to give it, like right now I have a subwoofer inside of my cabinet, so whenever I hit something that's got a bassy sound, I can actually feel it a little bit in the cabinet. But they have these other things called SSF, which is surround sound feedback, that would allow you to put some exciters, which are basically just like speakers without cones. They just vibrate instead of making sound waves. They make vibrations that you can feel through the cabinet. And then there's tons of other stuff I'd like to do. Like I need to get a actual enclosure for my speakers. Currently they're sitting on top. I had the bright idea to put them in the back of the cabinet, but they weren't nearly loud enough, so I've got to address that. And then I might also try to put another screen on it for more video options. But I'm really enjoying it. I've had a blast with it. I've spent the last 5 or 6, no, actually it's been longer than that. I've spent the last probably 8 months working on this thing to get to the point where it's at today. But I thought I'd spend some time today and share this with you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I will link the Visual Pinball Junkies page from Facebook in the comments. Go join up there. You can learn a lot there. Those guys have been just absolutely incredible about helping me get to the point where I'm at today. And I still ask a lot of questions and still get told to read the manual a lot. But if I didn't have those guys to help me push through, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I'm at now. So thank you guys for watching. There's a couple of really cool things coming out. We are in the process of having a custom retro Game Boy that runs on a Retro Pry, built for us specially. It's going to be logoed up with the Digital Power Trip logo, and we're pushing that 1,000 subscriber really hard. So when we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're going to give that thing away. So if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications, because we do giveaways all the time. And we're glad you came and spent some time with us today, and we'll catch you in the next episode.